right, seeing as Dennis has joined and we are right at 7 o'clock on the dot, I'll go ahead and call the meeting to order. First by reading the remote meeting procedures. This meeting will be conducted remotely over Zoom. Attendance by the commission members will be remote, and remote attendance shall count toward quorum. The meeting may be broadcast live and will be recorded on ECAT. And for further instructions on using all the Zoom features, you can find them in our agenda. And you can join the webinar as an attendee and be promoted to a panelist when it comes to your agenda item. So I think the first order of business is to approve the minutes from the July 10th meeting.
I think you got to take attendance first.
Take attendance.
Roll call attendance.
Roll
Sorry.
call. Whoops. Already messing up. I'll go around. Jim Lee.
Here.
Ed Hands.
Here.
John Ventresco.
Here.
Bill Vexkio.
Here.
Dennis Sheedy.
Here.
And Amanda Varela's here. Thank you for keeping me honest. So now, was there a motion to approve the minutes or any changes or comments?
So moved.
Yep. Second.
So Lee moved and Ventresco second. Going around again, Jim Lee.
Aye.
Ed Hands.
Aye.
John Ventresco.
Aye.
Phil Veskio.
Aye.
Dennis Sheedy.
Aye.
Okay, and so for our second order of business is a very sad bit of news that I know that Tom Broussard communicated to all of us earlier this week, that he's decided to step down from our committee. And it is just, if I may take a moment to say what a huge loss it is to the committee. I'm sure you all agree. And in any volunteer organization, you usually say about 5% of the people do 90% plus of the work. And Tom has always been one of those people to step up and do the work for the town, whether it be as a selectman or on PACE or on this committee. And so his business acumen and his dedication will definitely be missed, but I know we all wish him the very best. This leaves a community representative opening on our board for the selectmen to appoint. If you know of anyone who is interested, please encourage them to apply. And then we will also, I think, at the next meeting, do elections for chair and vice chair. I am happy to serve as chair. I would be equally happy if someone else would like to serve as chair. And if anyone has any interest in either position, please reach out to me or to Wayne.
Well said, Amanda.
I'd like to make a motion if I could.
Sure.
I know that the town and the selectmen will send a letter to Tom thanking him for his service, but I think it would be appropriate if we did the same thing from the CPC committee. So I'd like to move that we send a letter of thanks for his service, highly effective service.
Second that.
Great idea. All right, so Ed has moved and Jim second. Jim?
Aye.
Ed?
Aye.
John?
Aye.
Bill?
Aye.
Dennis?
Aye.
And Varela is an aye also, and I will work with Wayne and Stephanie on putting a draft together. All right, the third item on our agenda, there is a include and recommend for town meeting. We have Jim Carlino here to discuss the potential ponds rehabilitation application. Actually, I don't think we have to promote her. I guess we just have to unmute her.
Yeah, he's muted too.
So Jen, if we can't hear you if you're talking.
Nope,
I
not
think she's unmuted now. Yeah.
Now, we got you.
muted now, yes. We're good? You want me
Yep,
to just
good to go.
All right. So thanks for having me tonight. Haven't seen everyone in a while, so hope you're having a nice summer. Would you like just a recap, refresher of what the ponds?
I think a recap would be
application is?
great.
Okay, great. So maybe a year ago, residents brought to the attention of the Conservation Commission that there's a lot of invasive species within our ponds, and they're concerned about environmental issues and water quality. And so we applied for a grant through the Taunton River Watershed Association, and we received a $5,000 grant from them to do an evaluation of Old Pond and New Pond. And so Wetlands and Water and Wetlands was the company who did that evaluation. They provided an inventory of what types of invasive species were in New Pond and Old Pond, and made some recommendations for management of those invasive species. And then we asked them for a follow-up, and they have provided an estimate of $8,000 for the final design and permitting for New Pond invasive species management. All of those discussions would be during public meetings. So there's plenty of time and opportunity for public input and a full discussion of all the different types of options that would be available. And the other $5,000 request is for an evaluation of Langwater Pond and Long Pond for types of invasive species, and the recommendations that they would have for management within the other two ponds. And without any type of management, the ponds will go through eutrophication, and they would just become swamps eventually. Right now, people having a hard time even trying to fish or recreate in either of the New Pond or Old Pond. So we're just hoping to get started and try to alleviate some of those water quality issues and habitat issues, and promote better recreation opportunities. And we're working with the recreation department and staff to improve access. And the Recreation Commission and staff are hoping to begin a kayak program. I was able to get Public Access Board to come out and look at the site, and I don't know if you're familiar with them, but they do permitting and design to improve access to ponds. And so they would improve the ramp, the boat ramp that's out there at New Pond. That's no cost to the town as long as we maintain the boat ramp and the parking area. So they've recently gone out to survey the area, and it all joins together into one big puzzle of improving access to our waterways and water bodies. And that's listed in the Open Space and Recreation Plan from 2025. And many residents have said they would like to see better access to our waterways and water bodies.
So this is just for about, so 5,000 for evaluation of Langwater and Long Pond, and the 8,000 is just for the permitting expense. Is that correct?
For our final design and permitting for New Pond invasive species management.
And then what is the proposed funding source for the actual work if a permit is received?
We don't know the actual cost yet, because they will do the design and come up with the recommendations first. And during the permitting process, that's when we'll know which management option is the most feasible and economical. And then we'd have to look for some funding at that point.
Questions from the committee? Don?
Yeah, if was this ever done before? And second, if this is approved, the evaluation and the testing, how long is that good for? I mean, I know that could be subjective, because who knows what could possibly go into the water, but any idea?
Yeah, no, those are good questions. I don't know if they've done that in town before. I know Stoughton does treat Long Pond, certainly near the beach area. and I worked in Norton. We came up with a program for 4 of the ponds in Norton, and residents were pretty thrilled with the results there. And then the other question is, how long is the final design good for? Or,
Correct.
yeah.
In the testing of the water. I mean, is this something that's going to be done every 2 years, 5 years, 10 years?
Well, it is a management, it's a management activity. So the beginning part is pretty intensive, maybe a little labor intensive. And then as the plants start to respond to whatever type of treatment is used, the area, square foot area of area that needs to be treated would reduce over time. It's not ever going to be a swimming pool type area. I mean, it is a pond, so we will have native vegetation in the pond, but trying to get rid of the exotic invasive plants is the goal. It is a management activity. So, but there's certainly less management needed the more years that go on. That makes sense.
Yeah, thank you.
Sure.
Other questions?
I've got 2, if I may. And first a comment, I thought the report that you submitted was really excellent. It was, I enjoyed reading it. Stephanie and I looked at doing that a few years ago, and of course at that point we didn't have the money, so thank God you're doing that. My first question is, why was Long Pond chosen? I'm asking for 2 reasons. Most of Long Pond is in Stoughton, and it's also an area where they have been active in trying to remove invasive species. Why not apply for something like Shovel Shop Pond, which is adjacent to Langwater, for instance?
Hadn't really thought of that. We just sort of started with of just the 4 ponds that I knew we managed. But I think you're right. Shovel Shop Pond is probably conservation property as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if if that doesn't make sense to do Long Pond, we can certainly switch to Shovel Shop Pond.
Okay.
Yeah, if that makes more sense, that we're certainly flexible on that.
And I'm and I'm not trying to tell you your job. You're doing a fine job on that one.
Thank you.
And clearly, New Pond is I think the one that's been most impacted by invasives, and it's also the one that will give you the most bang for the buck because it's the most fished piece of property in town. My second question is, we've done projects where we've supported a particular position, and then at town meeting there have been objections based on suggested environmental problems, and then we end up voting for something and it's costing us an additional $1 million. I know one of the recommendations is to use aquatic herbicides. Is that going to have any impact at all on the town water supply, which is further down the New Pond drainage system?
The research I did was quite a while ago in Norton when we worked on those projects, and there wasn't supposed to have been any type of impact like that. But that would certainly be hard questions we would be asking during that design and permitting phase.
Okie doke.
Yeah.
Those are my questions.
Thank you.
All right. Other questions?
I'd like to make a motion to move this forward. That be the case.
And I'll second it.
Okay, so Ventresco moved and Hands second. Jim Lee,
Aye.
Ed Hands,
Aye.
John Ventresco,
Aye.
Bill Vecchio. Did you say aye? And I
Aye.
missed it?
Yeah, sorry.
Dennis
Aye.
and Varela is an aye. Okay, so we will look forward to discussing at town meeting.
That's great. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jen.
Joining us.
Thank you.
Good night.
All right, so next item on the agenda is CPA priorities, policies, and planning. I know you had some initial discussions on this last meeting when I was out of town, but spoke with Wayne and Stephanie in preparing the agenda, and we thought that it made sense. I don't know do we have any other applications, Wayne, that are going to be on for next meeting?
I think that is something for this group to consider if they would want to. I know that there are larger conversations higher up at the town level and with the Conservation Commission about long-term plans for Tufts Farm. So that I think will influence the timeline for considering a funding application for that. And then also Wheaton Farm Barn, I think has a much clearer path to utility. Something that I talked about with Stephanie is if we want to bring anything else to fall town meeting, we may want to consider at least a placeholder, because I think the timing is the warrant closes before the next meeting. I think the warrant might close on like September 8th and this group meets on September 11th. And Tufts Farm, I think, might have a longer timeline. You know, maybe it's the next spring thing. But for Wheaton Farm Barn, you know, there is a hole in the roof, and there's the bat population, which means that the construction period is mostly over the winter. So if this group was interested in moving forward with the second part of the larger rehab of Wheaton Farm Barn, then we may want to consider, do we want to bring that to this fall town meeting so we can be teed up to do that. And also something that's been really helpful is we do have Ty and Bond as the consultant who's doing the bid process and the bid docs and overseeing construction. So we already have them on board and funded to manage the any construction for us, which is a great benefit.
Okay. We also discussed and I think with the town budget issues and things that surfaced during the PACE committee discussions, you know, I think prioritizing our open space, prioritizing our priorities doesn't make much sense, but having most urgent projects, dusting that off. And we had talked meeting before last about trying to have some more frameworks where we're using to evaluate potential projects in this kind of resource constrained environment that we're in. So I would love to spend some time, or the bulk of our time at next meeting when we have a full house again, hopefully, working on that, and would welcome suggestions for kind of working groups, small working groups that might make sense, obviously with the representative of each of the committees presumably leading that discussion for, and again, coming up with frameworks for within our respective areas of expertise, and then Ed and I can chime in wherever we please. Although I'm sure Ed has lots to say about most of them. That seemed like a possible solution to give people homework, and to potentially talk with others in their committees and articulating kind of a secondary level of objectives, excuse me, because again, with in the environment we're operating in, I do feel like we need to be a little bit more uh, discriminating. Not to say that we're not um, saying that we would be saying no to everything, because I can't imagine an operation and we would invite an environment in which we would operate that way. But is there a secondary priority that this meets rather than like, okay, this checks the box for fill in the blank, but is there some other very good reason to do it? And as I'm not picking on open space, but I do think that that is the one where I recall over the last several years kind of having the perhaps one-off purchases that proposed to this committee were like, sure, sounds great, but is it really serving the larger objective planning wise that we should be having for the town? So I'd love to see us put some more kind of thought into what we want our priorities to be and how we can drive that in conjunction with the same awareness raising stuff we always want to do about, there are plenty of people who know quite well what we do and what we can, what kind of funding we can provide, but I'm sure there are other many worthy projects out there that I'd love to see us get more involved in soliciting at hands.
Yeah, I took care in case we were having that discussion tonight. And I do want to say that getting ready for tonight's meeting, I read the open space and recreation plan, most of the 270 some pages. And a lot of those 270 pages are the results of the survey that Jen did. And what do you like about Easton? And what they like about Easton is open space and historical. I'd like to mention that it's all well and good not to take property off the tax base, but I think we also need to look at the environmental impact of development on the quality of life in town. And so I think we need a comprehensive way to score proposals, not just open space proposals.
Dennis, did you have your hand raised, or did I make that up? You and Ed moved around my screen at one point.
No,
So
I was
Ed
actually
full
just
time.
scratching my eye. Thanks. Sorry.
Okay, John.
I concur with what Ed just said. My big concern, we had a little bit of a robust discussion about this the last time, because of the tightness of funds within our community. I think CPC is going to be pulled at even more so, and we have less funds, but we have an extremely difficult position moving forward because we've got large projects that are going to be continually coming at us, such as the hall. But at the same time, I don't want to drop the smaller playgrounds, pocket parks, things like that, that are into neighborhoods, which I'm a huge advocate of, as you probably know. So we can discuss this all night, but to your point, I think maybe getting into subcommittees or subgroups in the future, because it's going to be again, robust and difficult decision for CPC. We're going to be pulled at for a lot more than we normally are, which is a lot in itself.
And then my Dennis, I think we kind of have the opposite problem with affordable housing sometimes, is we're always looking for places to spend that money and struggle despite the great work of the board there. So I don't know that if we have a subcommittee on that, it might be about drumming up more business, not being more persnickety in what we're doing.
So I'm sorry. Dennis, I actually have a question for you and the group in general. But when we say affordable housing, are we concentrating more on single dwelling units or multiple dwelling units.
I would
Like,
say
as
it's,
an example, duplexes or small, townhouse condominiums groups. And I'm bringing this up only because, to Ed's point about the open space, the open space that everybody loves, and larger developments. But a lot of these larger developments, such as Avalon, we really have pretty much. Stop me if I'm wrong in saying this, but we have no say in that. It's similar to the MBTA. These are things that are mandated by the state, and pretty much we can't challenge it. It's already been challenged by a few communities, and that was lost uh, through the judicial system.
Ed?
Yeah, I don't want to get into this when Amos is not here, who's our planning board representative, but I think there are ways to minimize the impact on the look of the town that would still allow plenty of development of duplexes and affordable housings within our planning and zoning. We just haven't looked very much as much as we should, at regulations of landscaping for development. And that might be something we want to take a look at.
John?
But there's been some great examples, and this isn't affordable, but on Foundry Street, they put the yellow, was it yellow? The yellow on the right side towards Robert Drive. They're turning that into a duplex. I mean, the way I look at that quickly is that seems to be a win, as opposed to tearing down that historical structure and
Yeah, and you can't even see the.
a modern duplex. I mean, it's going to be beautiful.
Mhm.
And can we weave into that, back to Dennis, with affordable housing? Something to think about.
can I just say, Amanda, that, yeah, the affordable housing, to your point, John, it's basically unit by unit. Wayne could attest to that with the great work that the Affordable Housing Trust is doing. But it is step by step. Habitat for Humanity is usually, they're single units, but they go toward our safe harbor, and you gotta keep that up. Places like Avalon and Shoveltown, we did actually at one point gain many units toward that were affordable. Affordable is a tricky word, it's sometimes people take it as, bringing in people that you don't want in your neighborhood. That's really not the truth at all. They're hardworking, blue collar people that just can't afford a $750,000 home. So we do it, if you can go unit by unit, it's a win-win every single time that we house somebody and keep somebody in the town. It's a win for the town. We need these employees. We need, our blue collar people. We have to have housing for them too, that they can afford to be here. On the catch side, we hear a lot of, we don't have enough tax base and stuff. So do we want more open space, or do we want to develop some of that open space toward increasing our tax base? So every little bit helps at this point. We're in a different time, a different era, where there's a lot of uncertainty out there, where you got to take advantage when an opportunity knocks. You got to be ready to try to go for it.
That's well said.
Anybody? Yes.
Hi, thanks. Thank you, Dennis and Ed, and John, for the question. As Dennis was saying, the Affordable Housing Trust looks for all sorts of opportunities in all sorts of different ways. It's had great success with Habitat for Humanity, finding sites to develop as affordable single-family homes. Working with the planning board and the select board on supporting friendly 40Bs. Almost all of the recent 40Bs in town, including Avalon, have been friendly 40Bs that have come to the town and worked with the town proactively on very significant mitigation funds, and have largely been directed to places where the town has already identified opportunities for growth where it makes sense. And that I think ties in with what Ed was saying, is that there are ways to have better designed and located development that can preserve the scenic and historic and open space character of the town, but still provide new growth and development. But that is going to be different from the large lot, single family subdivision model that most suburban towns have been using for the last several decades. All the easy stuff has been developed. So the cheap, easy land to put subdivisions on is largely gone. And we're left with, the half dozen incredibly ecologically and agriculturally and scenically and historically important open space properties. And that gets right back to, I think, the top of this conversation is how do we factor in open space and other values as the CPC. I will also point out that one of the goals in the action plan for the Affordable Housing Trust is to work with the CPC and Conservation Commission on these conservation projects where the most scenically, agriculturally, and ecologically significant portions of the open space are preserved, but also some of it is used for mixed income housing. One could get some affordable or a mix of affordable and market rate housing units in part of a conservation and mixed income development scenario. But it does require a lot more planning and thought about development that comes to the town. And I also want to point to the planning board, which is starting on really looking at, is the zoning of the town meeting what the town's goals are? Or is it working at cross purposes? Are there zoning overlays or zoning reform that we could explore that could address many of these goals for market rate housing, for affordable housing, for open space conservation, and for scenic value? The example you were talking about, John, on Foundry Street, it's the historic house that has 2 units now in the house, and then I think they're building 3 townhouse behind it. And that's part of the zoning overlay of Furnace Village. That was not something that the Historical Commission did, and that's not something that CPA did. That's something that was done through a zoning overlay. And I think looking at how the town could use zoning to meet some of these goals will be really important. And I would strongly encourage any CPC consideration of planning going forward to also factor in working very closely with the zoning board, because they really do need to work together to reach a lot of these goals.
Agreed.
So I should know this. Ed?
Well, unnecessarily, I think it'd be appropriate to say on the Foundry Street area, that's been something that Connor and Stephanie have really devoted a lot of thought and consulted conservation and historical, et cetera, in developing the plans, and it's looking better and better every day. It has a beautiful park coming too. And the other thing is that we should thank Stephanie for is, and I'm sure Wayne as well, is the MBTA apartment stuff has put in the least environmentally impacted areas of the town if it ever comes to that kind of development. So those are all good. And the other thing is our boards have been very good about coming up with planning documents, whether it's the Historical Commission, the Conservation Commission, or the Affordable Housing Trust. So thank you. Now I'll shut up for a while.
So Wayne, how many of us can be on a subcommittee without running potentially afoul of?
I don't know. I'll have to look at that. I think it's no more than two.
I would guess.
That's what I had in my head, but
Yeah, yeah.
so do we want to take volunteers for two for each? And some of us will do double duty.
Ed,
So open space is first on my list.
Ed, would you want to work together on that? You muted.
I know. As a card-carrying member of the AgCom, yes, I'd like to be on the open space committee.
Okay, affordable housing.
As
Dennis,
a card-carrying member of affordable housing, I'd like to be on that committee.
okay. Historic preservation,
I would like to be on that committee.
there's about less power. Anyone else?
Yeah,
Almost.
same here. Yep.
It flickered here, and I'm very excited that I left my car windows open and it's raining. I think that's just awesome.
way.
If you'd like to step away, we'll understand.
So Amanda, did you get me down for something?
I got distracted by my power flickering.
Yeah, I thought
So
so.
I had John for historic preservation and someone else said something.
I did, Phil.
Phil did.
And then recreation, Meredith will be voluntold because she can't get out of that one. Jim, did you have a particular interest in?
I'd take recreation. That'd be fine.
And then Dennis, it looks like you're stuck with me on affordable housing, which I would
Sounds good.
learn to love more about because that's one of the ones that's the most fun. And if the problem's having too much money to spend, that's a great problem to have in the town of Easton in 2025. So
Sounds good.
all right. And I definitely would love to chime in on open space, but we'll have to be mindful of what we can and cannot do within the confines of the open meeting law. Any other comments? Or I think we should have a deadline because I need deadlines
That would be helpful.
in advance of September 11th. What do people think? I know I'm mindful that it's back to school and vacation winding up season.
I know that could come up pretty quick.
Yeah. The old calendar here,
Is that our next meeting, September 11th?
September 11th. So that's 4 weeks from today.
Yeah, I'm out from the 2nd of September to the 12th, so I won't be at that one. I'll be
Okay.
out in the Wild Wild West,
Nice.
probably with buffaloes.
Well, we'll just postpone talking about affordable housing.
Do you want to have one report per month or two reports per month?
I think 2 is the max we could
Yeah.
devote sufficient time to. So maybe since everyone's here for open space and historic, we could shoot to, and Meredith is not here tonight to hear about her assignment, although I will reach out to her. And shall we say, try to report back on those 2, or at least try to get something down on paper by September 4th, which gives us a full week before the next meeting for things to slip. And does that sound doable?
I think that's fair.
Yeah.
Okay.
So how detailed do we want to get with this, Amanda? Or do you just want to set up just some bullets?
I think bullets, I memean, we don't need the Great American Novel. Everybody's got plenty of stuff to keep busy. But I think it would depend on what your section is, because like ideas for frameworks, ideas for secondary considerations, besides like, yes, this checks the box. You know, what should we as a town be prioritizing in the abstract without being like, oh yes, this project sounds great, so that we have some objective criteria that we're applying across the board. I think would be not to say that we're, it doesn't have the force of law, but to help guide us as we are deciding which priorities to get the finite amount of resources we'll have. But I think it'll be a little bit different for every, I mean, again, affordable housing, I think will be more about drumming up business. than choosing between many worthy projects, although that would be a wonderful problem to have.
Yeah.
Um, and then I think priority parcels for both open space and historic preservation are things that all of you know off the top of your heads. But everyone in the committee may not. And it would be good, particularly if we have a new joiner, to dust off those lists and see if things have changed in the intervening however many years since we last looked at it. Okay. Anybody have anything else?
Wayne, do you need a motion to put a hold on Wheaton Farm?
Maybe just an agreement that with further conversation with town administration, that it would be okay if we put a placeholder in for at least Wheaton Farm Barn, and then we can talk about it more. I just don't want us to, miss by a matter of like 5 days and then be set back, a year and a half on a project that we actually really do want to move forward with and think has legs.
Got a hole in the roof. That seems like something we should,
Yeah.
like your car, something we should attend to promptly.
Yeah. Oh well. Sorry.
I mean, the Eaton Farm Barn has been going on for how many years?
Yeah, but
Well,
it's been worked on.
it's-
It hasn't just been sitting there, so.
It has made so much great progress in this last year, and I have so many pictures I could share, and the CPA funded work on the stabilization. Because I've been advocating for the barn for a decade since I've been here, and just the past year of actually seeing really important work happen to this really neat old building that is, I think, a lot more significant than folks might realize. It's great to see. So hopefully we can continue that momentum.
Do we have a general agreement that that's a good way to proceed? I don't think we need a motion.
I think it-
Yeah.
Everybody's on board with that?
Yep.
And hearing no objections. I have no items, not reasonably anticipated, so I will look for a motion to adjourn.
So
Second.
moved.
Okay, I don't know who that was. I heard Jim was second and John, I think, made the motion. So, Jim Lee,
Aye.
Ed Hans,
Aye.
John Ventresco,
Aye.
Bill Vecchio. Am I pronouncing your name wrong,
It's
Bill?
Vecchio. Almost like there should be
Vecchio.
an H instead of a C.
Vecchio.
But
I
aye.
apologize. But the V's have to stick together. So,
I've been called much worse, but thank you.
and Dennis Sheedy.
Aye, don't mispronounce my name.
Always a good advice, and Amanda Burrell is an aye. So, thank you, everyone, and we will see you in 4 weeks.
Yeah, and Amanda, let's chat about my role in helping coordinate and facilitate, and I would certainly love to be part of the affordable housing conversation.
That's
So,
great.
yeah.
And again, please don't forget, if you're interested in either chair or vice chair, or if you can think of good additions to replace Tom, although Tom is irreplaceable. Tom's position as community rep, one of the three. Please give that some thought.
Okay, great job, Amanda.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Later.
Thank you.
Thanks all.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Right.